Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the Jules Matt Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and we watch a little bit of anime, and then we come back here and discuss it. And this week we're going to be discussing The Promised Neverland, episode 5 through 8. We already talked about episode 1 through 4, so if you haven't seen that episode, go back and watch it on Spotify, watch it on YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts, and you can catch up. And I'm not alone on this Promised Neverland journey. Somebody that has already seen the show multiple times that is going to be giving his takes with no spoilers. Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Excited to continue our journey through the Promised Neverland for sure.
Yeah, like right before we started, I was like, a lot happened, but not a lot happened. But like it just felt it feels different in these 4 episodes, especially episode 5, and I definitely want to get into it. But remember, if you would like to submit an anime, you can submit an anime with 500 bits here live on Twitch, twitch.tv/JulesTheHuman. We do these every week live, and here are some of the suggestions that we've already gotten from some people. Some of them are mine, some of them are Matt, some of them are you, the community. So we have a bunch of them there that can be pulled out for next time. And I get to put one in now. I still haven't decided on what I want to put in. So an anime, I'm going to choose one that I haven't seen yet so that we can experience something together. I like that. I like when we're blind on something and then it's just like, oh my God, here we go. I'm blind on this one. I'm blind on the Promised Neverland. I
was
do not
trying to
know.
keep it like 1 and 1 with like I'll put one in that like I haven't seen and I'll put one in that like I have seen, and then as soon as I put the one in that I have seen, like it got picked.
It got pulled. Yeah. No, it's all good for sure.
Probability and all that.
Cheats, yeah. The way you cheat the picks.
Those two.
I know nothing about the Promised Neverland. I know that it had little, I don't know, had kids on the front, and I thought it was gonna be a lot happier. With a name like that, with a name like Promised Neverland.
I've been on the hot seat a lot, where last night I was playing a game of Mario Party, just a 10-turn round, and turn 4 I had 0 stars, turn 5 I had 5 stars. Turn 10. Turn 9 0 stars, turn 10 5 stars. And everybody's looking at me like, "What are you doing, Matt?" And I'm just like, "Hey, I'm playing the game. I'm rolling dice. I don't know how this happens. I don't know how these things happen, all right?"
Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the Promised Neverland episode 5. We're going to talk about episode 5, 6, 7, and 8 today. So if you haven't gone out and see them already, we're going to be talking about them, spoilers and all. So episode 5, Matt, give us a brief rundown of what happens in episode 5.
So yeah, like you were saying, episode 5 is a little bit different, probably the least I have written for our summaries here. But in episode 5, Norman and Ray kind of discuss and go back and forth over the implications of him being the traitor, but not necessarily an enemy. The things that he's been doing has been to gain favorable odds for their escape. We then see kind of Ray interacting with Mom behind the scenes. The show starts to let us in on a little bit of that. And then followed by that is Emma being let in on the fact of Ray being a traitor as well, and her giving somewhat of a little bit of an intimidation strat after finding out, where she doesn't want him to use anybody else as a sacrifice to gain better odds, essentially. After that, Dawn, Gilda, Norman, Ray, and Emma all discuss the possibility of there being a secret room in the house. Dawn immediately wanting to break into the room, but Ray discussing how the merit of it does not outweigh the risk of doing it. Gilda and Dawn going off on their own to attempt to break into the secret room anyways. The show leaving us with a bit of a cliffhanger of the door being opened on Dawn and Gilda.
Yeah. So they had the whole main plot about Ray, like they had to resolve that about Ray being the traitor or being on Mom's side this whole time. And then they had this like subplot with Don and Gilda doing this whole snooping around business that does give us some insight in the end in the next episode, I think. But the big thing in this one was the back and forth of Ray s- explaining as much as he can, I guess, what he's done and what he's been doing for years. And we find out, I think I wrote it down. We found out later it's like 6 years or something
Mhm.
that he's been doing this. He's been a spy for mom. What does that mean? What does that look like? That changes like the whole relationship you think of,
Mhm.
um, them, Ray and mom, like in an instant. It's like, yeah, I've been helping her. Well, actually, I've been helping her for 6 years. Like, oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Like, this is a big deal. And then he does this really cool scene that you got a screenshot of.
Mhm.
It's like it shows him menacing and like it makes you feel against Ray. At least for me, it made me feel like, oh, I don't know.
Because the end product of this interaction is essentially Ray showing all the cards that he's holding, and the fact that, yes, I can be your biggest ally, but I could also be your biggest enemy at this point. And now I'm
Mhm.
I'm telling you, you're gonna lie to Emma about taking everybody with us. And that's kind of what the scene came down to at the end.
And that's the worst, and I
Yeah,
hate it. And then later on,
I could be your angle.
yeah, you can be your angle or your devil. It's so good. It's
It
so
is.
good because Ray is playing these games, this game with Emma, and then later on when, Norman and Emma are I think it's in this episode, are discussing something, I forgot what it was. Emma was like, "Do we tell Ray?" And Norman was like, "No, we don't." So, there's still, like, there's a lot going
Yeah,
on. There's so many people. There's like I love
there's a
what
Game
I
of Thrones for sure.
yes, yes. I love this Game of Thrones style gameplay where you have to think like, "Oh, this character knows this character doesn't know this." When in Game of Thrones, it was a lot easier to perceive it because they were so far apart on the map and like this thing was happening in this part of the map, this part was happening, but they're all in the same place. But it's like this person is keeping this from someone, these guys are over here, but then they have other connectivity here. These two know something, but these two know, and it's
And
like,
then,
oh,
yes,
so
to
good.
to 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 piggyback off of that, we see later in the episode that, Dawn and Gilda are like, they're not telling us the whole truth here. Like, they're holding stuff out on us,
Exactly,
and that's
exactly.
why we have to kind of go and just, check out the secret room on our own, because like, we can't trust what they're saying. They're just we had this whole discussion, and then they're just, like, sending us out, like,
Yeah, and that's the crux of episode 5 and 6 really,
Mhm.
is this whole, yeah, they're not telling us the whole truth, what's going on, and then it causes something else happen. But, yeah, Ray has set it up a certain way so that he knows how to break the transmitters in their ear
Yeah,
so that they can break
apparently
that.
he knows how to break it.
He knows how to break the tracking devices. And yeah, Ray has been helping mom this entire time. It was great. Like, I don't know. It's just so odd. What was he helping her do for that long? Because this is fairly new, right? Like them trying to escape, them
Yeah,
finding out. But
yeah,
did Ray? So Ray knew about it before,
yeah,
is what I'm coming up.
probably.
Yes, that Ray knew
That's what the
about what
show's
was
kind of
actually.
setting up. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ray
Because
actually knew
then
what was
Emma
happening.
Emma makes the before she tries to intimidate him, she's like, "That must have been really difficult just watching everybody get sent away time and time again, and you just
Mm,
knew what was going on." And that's when she's like, "Let me ask you something."
mhm.
Figuring out how to break the transmitters. Did that get somebody sent away? Grabs his hand, squeezes super hard. You don't have to do that again because we're escaping with everybody.
The with everybody is always there, and it's like, okay, all right, all right. Well,
That's her
whatever.
thing. We're leaving with everybody or nobody.
Everybody or nobody.
Yeah, including Ray. We're taking him with us. We're taking everybody. We're taking the traitor. We're taking
I
everybody.
I want to trust Ray, but I really think and I really believe, given the choice. Well, actually, never mind. I was about to say a thing. What I was about to say was, given the choice, if Ray is put in the situation where he gets to leave and go scot free, whatever, or choose to help them and possibly not leave, I was gonna say that he would just leave. But from past episodes, he's like, we don't even know if there's a good world out there. This world kind of sucks. This world's like, we don't even know if there's humans out there, whatever, whatever. So in episode 5, if I were to say they were to leave that day in episode 5, I'd be like, I don't know what Ray would do. And I don't trust Ray at all, really, right now.
I think Ray just is aware, like he talks about, yeah, having to figure things out, and I think he knows that, simple odds of likelihood of survival, if he's trying to do that on his own, like, it's not gonna work. He's gonna need other people that he can be able to rely on as
Well,
well.
not everybody.
But not everybody, because he only needs the reliable people.
Yeah, not all the kids. There was a ton of kids. There was a
There's a
lot of
ton of
little
kids.
kids shown in these 4 episodes. I'm like, "Oh my god, there's a lot of
Yeah,
little kids. Oh, fuck."
that's yeah, I forget how many it says, but specifically, but it's like 30 something kids, and we see that these 5 are the oldest.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
everybody else kinda gets, that it's probably around, like, 9 to 10 that most commonly get shipped, unless they're, like, the top
The top.
scorers that stay till age 12.
Mhm. So, they leave us on a little cliffhanger. I like the last cliffhanger better, but they're doing some cliffhanger. It's cool, it's cool. It had me keep wanting to watch. Episode 6, 31-10-45. What happens in episode 6?
So in episode 6, the core 3, Emma, Ray, and Norman, begin to dive into a discovery revolving around an author that seems to be sending coded messages to the farm. However, on the side, Don and Gilda manage to get into Mom's secret room, and with all of their findings, they are aware that the other 3 are definitely holding out the truth on them. Don and Gilda are uh, let in on the truth after confronting Emma, Ray, and Norman, uh, and like kind of reinstate, do you want to escape with us with all of these facts on the table? Dawn and Gilda still want to go through with the escape plan. Ray continues to try to keep Mom distracted while the other 4 give a entire like recap of the plan to each other.
Mhm.
Mom reveals to Ray while he's distracting her that he's to be shipped in January on his next birthday as the next shipment. Sister Crone was in earshot of the 4 discussing the plan the whole time, revealing herself and making an offer to the kids.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Welcome.
We're discussing episode 6. Matt gave a brief breakdown of episode 6 of The Promised Neverland. Um, William Minerva, which was interesting. Um, and I really want to know what it is. I really want to know what's going on. I think this is probably the biggest what is it called when something's like stringing you along, I guess. It's the biggest like
Plot thread?
before this. What?
Biggest plot thread? Like the
Sure.
biggest thread?
Sure. But thread not just for them, but for me as well. Like for them, it is hope. It symbolizes that there's something out there. There's some other humans out there that are trying to
There
send a
could
message.
possibly be allies in the world.
Yes, in this world that they probably thought was just full of monsters.
Mhm.
And but for me as well, it's like the same thing. Well,
Mhm.
there might be somebody out there because we don't know. We've only seen 2 shots. We've seen what's inside the walls and of the demon meeting or whatever it is. We've only seen 2 of that. So we don't know at all what is out there, and it's the biggest like me wanting to continue to figure it out because these book plates have Morse code in them in the circle that they said um and find out words like danger, farm, things like that, things that are alluding to they know what they're talking about,
Mhm.
which is really interesting. I'm not gonna ask you what you think
Yeah, I know.
but I'm
But
so
if
excited.
yeah, it like up to this point in the show, it definitely the world building is very limited, and just giving these couple like, oh, there's somebody trying to send coded messages that creates a whole world of possibilities for the show to expand on
For
for sure.
sure. Then we get to, like, the whole big, I guess, thing about this one was the whole secret room, and, we'll say that the secret room bit had big summer horror story vibes. I
Yeah,
like how
it went
much
back into the POV and everything.
yes, I like how much uncomfiness is in this anime so far. It's just enough for me to get a little uncomfy, but not enough to be, like, put off by it, where these 2 are going in and finding the secret room and all this stuff and seeing all the little toys from the past people that got shipped off, and finding out that the other little room where Isabella is doing her chatting with whoever they think it is. But the whole, like, going down and the close-up shots and even, like, some of the jump scares and stuff. Like, at the end, there's a jump scare with Crone, which got me, but, like, even, like, in the room when they're in the room, it makes it very uneasy, and I really like it.
Yeah,
Um
it's very intense, for everything that's going on in the secret room, at least the reveals, like, the reactions that Dawn and Gilda are giving are, like, feel real and feel earned because, like, they don't know the whole truth, and this is, like, kind of similar to when Emma and Norman, like, were met with Connie's fate, but not as visceral, but still intense. Like, it still, it still gets there. And then, the reaction of, like, Dawn in the next scene, like, how he's so confrontative and just kinda stoic over the fact that, like, "You guys would hide this from us. Like, we thought you were relying on us, but here we're the dead weight. You can't even trust us with the truth."
that was
Like,
such a
that whole response, I
sure.
felt was, like, real.
Yeah, because that's not what I would go for, but that's what the character went to. Like, that's not how
Because he
I would
cares
react.
about his siblings too. We saw, like, this whole time he's being led on with what they told him. So in his head, he's like, we're trying to go save our siblings, but then it's like, oh, they're not even there for us to save. Like, what's going on here? Like, what's actually happening?
Mhm.
Just tell us.
It's yeah, it's definitely not how I would have reacted, or the first thing that I would have thought that, but it's the way that Don's been brought as a character. Like, he's
Mhm.
the strong guy, the strong one that people rely on. The little kids look up to him. Little kids give him all this attention and stuff and always, like, wanna play with him, have him do tag and all that stuff, and then for him to not even be good, quote unquote, "good enough" for the truth of what actually is happening. We're the dead weight, uh him and Gilda, and it's like, oh shit, he wants to be stronger,
Uh-huh.
and he forgives them essentially after punching them. After punching them, he forgives them for not being honest.
Well,
Um,
and I feel like, at first it's like, it doesn't feel like earned in a way, but then, like, when I think about it, going back to the previous episode where, like, Ray is trying to explain that uh the merit doesn't outweigh the dangers associated, and it's like, well, of course you think that because you actually know what's going on, but you're holding the entire truth from him, so how is he supposed to be able to understand the weight of the situation properly?
mhm,
Because then he's sitting at the table like, what's going to happen? Are we going to be killed if we, like, screw up? Because that's why I was off doing what I was doing. Was I going to get killed?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Cosmo, I have no way to pull up your Discord post, but I see it, so we'll check it out after. I have no way to do it on this podcast thingy, but um, we find out Ray will be the next one shipped out in January, so we have, like, an essentially a deadline, I guess. Um, the way he talks about it with mom is kind of odd. That he's like, "It's finally my day." Like, does Ray want to die? Like we've talked about this before, but, like, he's just kind of, like, over it. Does he just be perceived to want to die, or
I
is he
think he's
just
trying to, like, not give.
Sure.
off a hopeful energy, like kind of just a subdued energy because like they have machinations to escape before then, and he's still trying to not let mom in on that. Maybe
But do you think he will say, well, okay, I'm not gonna ask what you think. My because my thinking, I guess, is like there's something inside of me, very little, that he wants to sacrifice himself for them. That there's gonna be something possibly at the end. My better judgment here, I'm gonna try and put on my little Sherlockian hat and say there's gonna be a point in the future in the ending where Ray's gonna have to sacrifice himself and he's gonna be okay with it. Because I don't know.
he's
I don't
already
know.
come to terms, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's already come to terms with it. I think he's had the 6 years to figure out that this is the life that he's gonna live, and he's kind of okay with it, and he would rather die for his friends escaping than die for nothing. So I think he somewhere in the end, I think he's gonna sacrifice himself. That's my biggest, like, possibly. I want them all to live. I want them all to
Sure.
escape. I want everybody to go. But I think Ray's story could be a good story if he ends up sacrificing himself in the end and finally like putting to rest all this the lies or me
The
thinking
deceiving,
not
the
yeah, me
trickeries.
thinking that he's deceiving somebody. Even though he's not deceiving somebody, I still feel like he is
Mhm.
somewhere because he's still deceiving mom, yes, but like to the core group, I still feel like he's deceiving somebody. And I don't like
Double
that
agent
feeling.
status.
Yeah, I don't like that feeling. I wanna be clean with him. I wanna be like, he's a good guy, and I
Mhm.
think the way that you do that to the audience is by making him sacrifice himself, which would be kind of intense, but it could be done. That's my
Just
big
off the
headcanon.
got you. And just off the side, that he mentions how it's January for his shipment date, so, raise a Capricorn. Just wanna point that out.
Oh,
Episode 7.
okay, so the big the okay, I just want to
No,
mention
yeah,
that
yeah.
the jump scare with Crone was
Oh, yeah,
intense.
yeah.
They were just talking about her like, "Oh yeah, she's not gonna," and I was like, "Oh my god." It was
And the
intense.
show sets up that somebody's like there's a lot of shots and stuff showing kind of alluding to a presence just out of eye shot that's been focused on the kids, and after this moment, to me, it's like that's been Crone in all those moments, like, we've the camera's been where Crone has been just, like, watching them just out of eye shot. Like, the night when they told Gilda and Dawn about everything, and, like, Ray looks over his shoulder really quick, and there's nobody there around the corner. Crone was there.
I tried, like, looking in the darkness. I was like, do I see somebody?"
She's
No, I
not there,
don't.
but she's
No.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Bubsy's a Capricorn?
Bubsy and I are both
There's
Capricorns.
a lot of well, Kaylin's a Capricorn too, so wait, yeah,
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Capricorn
Episode
Nation.
7.
Episode
I'm a
7.
Sagittarius living in a Capricorn world. What happens in
Uh,
episode 7? They set it up at the end that the Sister Crone wants to join forces. So what happens from there?
the kids, end up, joining forces with Sister Crone after a little bit of discussion. Sister Crone basically plans to oust Mom using the kids as evidence that Isabel doesn't know how to run the house. Crone plans to become the new mom of the house in the process. The kids, however, are simply going along with Sister Crone's offer because they believe getting her out of the way is beneficial, along with any info that she might be able to give. After Emma and Norman meet with Crone in her room, Sister realizes the kids know more than they are letting on. She goes looking for evidence in their room during mealtime, only to find a trap that the kids had laid for her. Uh, Isabel meets with the sister at her room later with a letter from the HQ.
Oh, and then that's how that episode ends?
That's how that episode ends.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
I forgot to mention it, but yeah, there's a bit in the middle where Ray meets with Mom, her giving him his like last reward, and it's a
Polaroid
Polaroid camera. Yes.
that he's only seen in books, that they don't have cameras. So
He's
again,
never been able to see a physical photograph. So he was fascinated by the phenomenon of photographs. He's
so they
only
don't
ever
have
seen pictures in books, but never like a
to
photograph
hold. Okay,
to hold.
okay. I was gonna say there's no picture books in all those. They're all just words. That fucking sucks. So we get a lot of information at the beginning because Sister Crone is trying to show her hand to show that she's trustworthy because they're
Uh-huh.
going to be working together. She shows her that she shows the crew that she was also once one of
An
them,
orphan in a farm.
an orphan in some farm, which is kind of crazy. That she has a number on her as well, and that girls that are older than 12 get the option to aim to become a mom if they're only in high marks, if they're high on the on the tree, they give them the option that's like, hey, you could possibly become a mom someday.
Yep.
Here's would you like that? Would
Mhm.
you like that life instead of dying in a feast or something? And
And she's talking about how, I basically want to be able to live the best life possible for a human under these conditions. Like I have a chip in my body, and if I leave the farms, I die. So I want to be able to live the best life possible. And Emma's just like absolutely disgusted. She is like not happy with
sure,
Sister Crone.
because I mean, I don't know. How would I feel in that situation too? Like, I
How would you
really
feel?
don't know. Okay, given Sister Crone's, like, I'm kind of okay with her being the way she is, which is really interesting because she's per a bad
Kind of
person,
crazy, yeah.
but and kinda crazy a little bit.
A
But,
little
like,
crazy.
given what she said and, like, some of the best bad guys or villains and stuff you kind of relate to a little bit, or you can at least
Yeah,
understand where they're
the
coming from.
best villains have relatable, like, things that have pushed them over the edge and stuff.
And I'm totally understanding of Crone being like, "I've already made this choice, and I there's nothing else I can do. There's nothing else other than die. If I leave or die by some other hand, and I would rather have the best life that is possible for me, or at least that she knows.
Mhm.
Um, because I don't know if they're being honest with her. If she leaves, she dies or she blows up or whatever. I don't know if that's super truthful. So we don't know. They could just be decoys, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's giving like some Truman Show vibes or whatever, where
Fair
it's just
enough.
like, because I don't know.
Yeah,
In that situation, if I was in her situation, I would be like, do I even know this is real? Do I would be very tempted one to test it because why not? What else is there? But then also very tempted if I was going to go the other way to do what she does, be the best, live the best life you can, I guess. So I don't know where I
but
would be.
at the same time, we see that, like, kind of her fatal flaw is the fact that she's kind of willing to act and do selfish things in order to get the things that she's driving for, I
Sure,
guess. And if it wasn't for her fatal flaws, we may have seen things work out differently for her than they
sure,
do in the show.
yeah. Kelly says, "How could you not be crazy under the circumstances?" Basically,
Villains are not born, they are made. Yeah.
bro,
So that's that. Yeah.
we're making villains
Yep.
tonight.
I mean, it's only after you live in a house up to age 12, and we see in the next episode a little bit of a flashback sequence that takes all the way through Crohn's, like, being trained and mentally prepared to become a mom or a sister in this, I don't even know what you'd call it, training, like,
Sure,
montage of sorts.
that's an 8, right? That's an episode 8.
Yes.
Okay, I want to talk about it. But
Yeah.
Bubsy, thank you for the 500 bits. Pride bits, by the way, may I add to the list summertime rendering. Happy Pride, by the way. Thank
Summertime
you so much for the
rendering.
500 bits. If you would like to get an anime added to the list of anime here that are thrown in by community members, you can do that with 500 bits on the live show. And I'm so happy you picked that one. I've read the first volume.
Oh,
It's so
wow.
good. It's
Look at that.
so good. I definitely want to pick up the next couple volumes. I wanted to make sure I had the first one. I read it Whoa, okay, I'm excited. I have not seen the anime though, but thank you, Bubsy, for
Yeah,
the
thank you for
500
the
bits.
500 biddies.
Yeah, so
Alright,
good,
biddies.
so good. Hello, Queen. Hello, hello. We're talking about the Promised Neverland episode 5 through 8, and we're talking about episode 7. We do this every week where we talk about different animes and we watch them together. Sister Crone, the whole conversation is beautiful, beautifully wild.
The
Um,
conversation with the kids in the forest or in her room.
in her room.
That convo goes crazy.
That's in episode 7, though, right?
Yes.
I'm getting him.
They're
Okay,
both in episode 7. Episode 7's kind of like our crone episode that goes from convo to her snooping.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, Sister Crone deducing from all of this
So good.
that of what Norman and Emma already know by their tells and by the way, and I mean, it for all we know, it could have been super easy because they're children. Like,
Mhm.
of course, if you say like I don't know something about a child's favorite animal or something, they'll be like, or something like, oh, that's your favorite animal. It's like, yeah, okay, or you know what I mean? Like, it could have been super easy. Who knows? But the way they presented it, it made it seem like she was such a badass, and it was like so crazy because they're trying to have this battle of wits. They're trying to have this battle of like, what do we know? What do we
Mhm.
want to know from this person? Because she
Mhm.
said, come to my room. I'll tell you everything just so you can believe me. And it's
And
like,
she didn't ask any questions,
no,
but in reality, she learned more about them than they learned about her. Yeah.
bro,
Yeah.
yes. She that's the ultimate like defense there because she knew that she would get information from them, but she put the power in their hands
Yep.
or the seeming power, the power, the believed power. She was like, "Here you go. You can ask me anything, whatever, whatever." They asked her a little bit. "Oh yeah, here's how I find you.
Yeah.
You good? You want to know more? What do you want? We got to go. We
Have
got
you
more
ever
stuff."
been outside before? No.
Yeah. No.
And then they were surprised and she was like, "What? Did you think I was gonna lie? Just to tell you what you wanted to hear?"
Mhm.
Like, "No."
It's so good.
It's
She
very
talks
good.
about the main point that she does talk about and gets them on is that she talks about the transmitters that are in their body, and she gives them information a little bit
Honestly,
and
looks like I have one.
says, "Yeah, well, I have something for my piercing. Yeah, am I being tracked?" Um, she talks about it and gives them information that's like, "Yeah, it's behind your ear." And the big thing is that they already knew that, but the way they told was that they didn't do anything.
They didn't try to feel for it. They
They didn't
didn't, like, look,
feel for it,
react, give a reaction.
ask questions. They didn't really go further into it. So it's like she already knew that a couple other things, and it's like she does the big reveal at the end, like, oh, so you already know how to do it, and you already know how to get rid of the transmitters and break them. That's so interesting, and they're just stunned.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, this is so good. I loved it.
So good.
The whole interaction with Crone, but then like, okay, we'll get to it in episode 8. But the whole interaction with Crone makes her so cool. I love this character as a bad person, but also possibly, who knows, was trying to actually do good because the enemy of my enemy is my friend,
Yep.
right? They're both against
Isabel.
Isabella here. They're both
Bella,
against
yeah.
her because she wants to be the mom of this place. She wants to overtake her, but then the kids also want to escape. And she's told them already, "Hey, go ahead and escape. That's going to help me. That's going
Yeah.
to help me out. I'll do. What do you want?
But
I'll tell you everything."
also at the same time, if foiling their escape gives her an edge or gives her ground that she thinks she might get, she would totally take that opportunity.
Sure.
But it's still not necessarily my friend.
Yeah. But then the way they first shook hands on it was that they had something on them as well. They had something on
Exactly.
Crone as well. So it was like,
We both have a double agent aspect to the groups, so we can't give each other up or we would give ourselves up.
sure.
Yeah. The logic makes sense. The
It
logic of it
does.
all makes
It's
sense.
so good. I love it all. I love Crohn's, all the stuff. Whatever, whatever. Ray being fascinated by the Polaroid camera. that was kind of interesting. But also, I knew what it was immediately when he asked for a gift. It was like this is what he needs it for something.
Yeah,
It's not just this. But he, in mom's good graces,
and that's why
uh,
even she is like, so your last reward, a camera, really?
yeah,
Like she's kind of just like, what? Like, why is that
yeah.
about
Um,
it? And he's
but she
just like,
gave it to
yeah,
him.
I'm just fascinated by photographs, and she's just like watching him the whole time.
And then after the big thing, I guess, Crone found a note, which we still don't know what's on it.
Yeah,
We don't know what's on it yet,
even
right?
at the end of episode 8, we still don't know what was on
I
the
don't know
note.
what's on it. There's some note that she found that could have been a ploy from the kids to get information to her, or it could be fake
It's
information. I don't know
it's
what
set
information
up
it is.
that it's a trap from the kids because they know Crone's gonna go snooping and they want her to
Yes,
find something, but not what they actually are hiding.
sure. Crone finds a note that she doesn't know what to do with, that she doesn't show the audience. But then later on, she's given a note with a knife from Isabella from headquarters. And that's a different note. So there's two notes here.
Mhm.
One from the
There's a
kids,
note in the
one
letter.
from grandma. Letter. Okay. There's a note and a letter from grandma. Um, and then she gives him with a knife and says, "Hey, grandma's gonna be here. You're being promoted to mom in plant 4. Get on out there." Okay.
Good luck.
And then, okay, cool. Well, I don't believe anybody. What's gonna happen? So episode 8, 02/11/45. What happens in episode 8, Matt?
Episode 8, we see Sister Crone meeting with Grandma at the gate. Crone attempts to out Isabel. However, it is revealed that the game has been rigged all along. Crone is relieved of duty, and we see her life play back in a slideshow before,
Ugh.
with her final thoughts, her final breaths. She wishes that the kids escape and destroy the world as it stands. The kids attempt to make their final scouting run, and mom reveals to Ray that she has eliminated Crone and no longer has a need for Ray to be her lapdog. Mom locks Ray up before heading towards Norman and Emma on their scouting run. Mom snaps Emma's leg, remarking that it was her refusal to give up that forced her to do that, in addition to revealing that Norman has had his shipment date set for the very, very near future before their planned escape.
Shit's popping off. Mood.
Snapped leg, locked in a room, shipment date set.
Crone dead.
It's all Crone dead,
I don't
relieved
know.
of duty.
Relieved of duty. Bro, this episode went crazy. Elbows ratio. Oh my god.
This is the Isabella episode. This is
She
her
goes
going. This
off.
is her going.
Oh.
All right, it's time for mom to step in. Honestly,
Enough,
get enough
Mister.
games.
You miss nice mom.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, she even tells the kids when she meets them in the forest, like, "Hey, we're done acting. This is just the caretaker and the kids that are growing up to be food."
she said,
They're
"This
just
is
like,
my." Yeah, she said, "This is my first time talking to y'all without an act. Hello,
yeah,
nice to meet you."
the
And
way she
that's
says that.
That's a fucking hard line, bro.
Yeah,
This is the first time we're meeting, bro. Here we are. I know what you know what I know. Let's talk about some monster eating. You're gonna be fed to people, to things. And it's such a badass line. Just be like, yo, how's it going? This is me.
yeah.
So here we go. Enough of the facade. Let's go. And that's when it turns crazy because on the other side of it, we have grandma working with Isabella. There was a flashback. I, th- from what I gathered, as an audience member that's seen it once, I think grandma was the one that trained Isabella
Oh,
to be
really?
this. That's what I feel like because they did like some sort of flashback. They did one flashback with grandma. Why would they do it in these 12 episodes? Remember, what's the
12 episode
point?
anime.
12 episodes of anime. What's the
Everything's there
point of
for a reason.
everything? Grandma showed somebody on the wall, a little girl, and it was her flashback back in the day. We know it was grandma. We don't know who the little girl was. I'm pretty sure the little girl was Isabella. That she, at one point, Isabella wanted to escape, and then she figured it out, and she helped make it so that nobody can escape. Who knows? Maybe Isabella was the one that the catalyst for making this harder to escape from. That's where mine's brain's going. Matt sips his drink. Uh, that's what I'm thinking. I think it's Isabella that grandma trained in the beginning. But I guess we'll find out. Maybe, hopefully, in the last 4 episodes. That's what my mind went to. But grandma confronts Sister Crone, and it turns out that Isabella and grandma have been working together this entire time, trying to get Crone out.
It could be that the way grandma puts it is that, Isabella is a necessary pawn for me. And
Yes,
if you're being a nuisance to her, that's going to become a nuisance to me, essentially.
because I also think grandma has some other motives too. Like everybody's shady here. Like she's
Mhm.
like,
Like,
I'm
then she leaves by saying, may the farm have the best profits. May we
yeah,
offer the best plate at the Tafari?
yeah.
Tafari?
And it's
So,
like,
yeah,
what
everybody's
is
motivated by something.
what does that mean? Like, is she just using Isabella until she can't anymore too? Like everybody's using each other. Is crazy. This anime is crazy. But in the end, ultimately, we get this huge flashback of Crone's life, of
Mhm.
her rising through the ranks, of her getting the thing put into her chest, um, about her growing up, learning how to fight, be good in battle, and all this stuff. And I'm curious if that's what all mothers have to go through. Um,
It shows her, like, start off, kinda youthful, but as she goes through more training, it shows her aged, and, like, it looks like, she says that she's 26 to the kids when they ask about it, so that means she probably trained for maybe a decade to do what she's doing.
yeah, but does Isabella have that training too? Because we haven't seen her
W
be extra intense like we've seen Crone do. Since she's been there, Crone has been running and chasing
until
everybody.
until she, with one swift movement and one audio cue that causes my spine to shake every single time, she snaps Emma's leg in half
Sure.
or dislocates her leg, whatever she does. That's enough to just, yo,
Yeah.
I'm already more scared of her than anything Sister Crone did.
Sure.
Like that's intimidating.
Sure. That's great. I love it. Um,
The audio is just so crunchy. Ah.
they do with like celery, right?
Oh,
They
please.
probably do it like that's
Oh
what I'm
my
saying with the
god, yeah,
Foley
no,
work.
just,
The
this
Foley work is just
yeah,
cracking celery, probably.
thinking
We
about
get
tendons, in relation to celery breaking. It's just like, that's gotta hurt so bad.
yeah, for sure.
Snapped
No,
her
they
real
snapped.
leg.
Okay. Can we do that one more time? I
We
forgot to
need
hit the
another
record.
take. Oh, I'm sorry, the mic cap was on.
Steve was eating chips in the mic, so that wasn't a good take. We need another one.
God,
Um, Throughout the whole
good
thing, we're
stuff.
getting flashbacks of Crone's life, but then she is being we're being shown. I love this little thing. I don't know how to explain it. There's so many words, so many things I want to say about this. They're showing her go through many different uh, emotions here, and it goes along with her training, sort of, in the flashbacks, where it's like she's scared, she doesn't know what's going on, but then as it's going further, she's kind of taking control of it as much as she can. And that's how it shows in her flashbacks as they keep showing her like get better at things. And it's like, oh, she can fight. Like, I didn't know to what extent she could fight. And then they show her like fighting people. And it's like, oh, okay, she might have a chance here. And then she starts possibly having a chance in her fight in the real world, like right now. And I was like, that's so beautifully done. I love that. I was like, oh, it's sort of just paralleling all the emotions that she's going through and then she's gone through in her life, and it's like in this one, I don't know, this one moment at the end of her life, it's just really
Ultimately,
poetic.
being able to, even though it's a very rough situation, in both hands kind of almost come to a compromise emotionally, where all the emotions taken out of her face by the end of her training, and her emotional state by the end of it is like, whatever, but you kids better run. Like,
Better
you
run.
better take this chance.
So I wanted Crone to live at
Yeah,
the end.
by the
In
end of
these
it, yeah,
in
I
these
feel bad for her for
in these
sure.
past couple episodes, I was like, man, that could have been really cool. That could have been a cool stuff. But then I was like, what does Crone's death represent? We see the flowers as usual. We see how they kill them or eat them or preserve them, or I don't even know what it is. I don't know yet. But flowers, they put the flowers in them, do something. Um, and then you see the life go from her eyes. And
Mhm.
what does her death represent? What is it? Does it show I guess for everybody it could be different. Like, does it show like what that pathway could lead to, that you're still ultimately not ever going to be good enough and you're not going to reach what you want? Like, that's the nihilistic side of it.
That's
Or
the
is it
yeah.
like that this whole society is still fucked up? Like, I think that's the ultimate thing as well. Like, this sucks for everybody involved. This is
I
not just the
think
kids.
I
She is a
think
kid.
Crone is like when she's introduced, and we see Crone with Isabella behind closed doors for the first time, she starts to like bootlick Isabella, for lack of a better term. She is like, praising her for, oh my god, I've heard you've done this, you're this, you're this, you're this. And Isabella's just like, cut the BS, like, you're here for a job. This is what you're supposed to do. And throughout the entire thing, even though Isabella's like trying to keep, a rap and is very clear with what Crone is there for, Crone the entire time has been trying to make, machinations to out Isabel, knowing the fact that she's this pinnacle of the work that she's supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
And in a world where there are rules and regulations, but at the end of the day, only profit matters, you kind of need to be careful on who you're willing to put a knife in whose back, because like we've seen, somebody is a pawn to somebody else. And
Yeah.
sometimes that person that's using that person as a pawn doesn't want their piece to be taken off the board. You are not a sufficient replacement. And that's kind of what the show is trying to do with her, I
Sure.
think. Is like, Isabella is not in somebody that's going to be replaced, basically. You can't just get rid of Isabella. And Crone is supposed to represent somebody that would try to do that.
Sure. Somebody that could have possibly gotten really close to it. Like somebody that was a formidable person that could have gotten there, that they had with just a little bit more time, they could have gotten some evidence towards her and how bad she's doing or whatever, because she's let kids know and they're still alive or whatever. But
When you're just a pawn on the board, you can't be trying to make big moves.
sure. Yes.
Let's like, yeah.
But Crone didn't think that way.
Yeah,
Crone didn't see
Crone
her that
Crone
way.
didn't see herself as a pawn, and she didn't see Isabella as a pawn. She didn't see
Yeah.
it as a game until she realized it was a game that was rigged from the start.
Until it
She
was too
thought,
late
yeah.
and it was over. And the game was she didn't realize she lost until the game was over, which is
Mhm,
crazy.
mhm.
Oh, so good. Isabella ends up firing Ray, locks him up in the room, and says, I'm coming back and you're not gonna stop me. Okay, cool. Isabella goes towards Emma and Norman. The whole thing happens, and then now Norman's gonna be shipped. And now all the main crew are disarrayed, and we don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's on the note. Still want to know what was there. Um, Still don't know what they're actually doing to the humans because now I'm confused. Are they? I mean, they're dying, I guess. Or are they being fed? They're saying they're being fed. Are they their life force taken? What's the flowers about? I have all these questions. Pretty cool.
A lot of questions.
um,
At this point too, with, the reveal of Norman, having a shipment date, we also get the non-tell, but it's there that, Mom has been withholding information from Ray because she told Ray that there is no shipment next month. You are the next shipment in January. Oh, nor like then the next day? Yeah,
Yeah.
the next day. "Oh, yeah, Norman, by the way, your shipment date's been set, and it's next week."
Yeah, okay. I just thought that was mom and grandma working together to try and get some of the knowledged kids out. I thought she had, like, finagled something for that to happen.
It could be that
Or she
happening,
could be keeping more likely, she could be keeping stuff from Ray and
'cause
just kind of
on that
fucking with him.
in that scene where they're in the infirmary and Ray's like she's, like, telling Ray about his set date, and he's, like you were saying, kind of, "Oh, yeah, cool, like, I, can't wait, it's
Sure.
finally time." She kind of gives him a side eye in one of those moments, and I feel like that's kind of, yeah, her, you know,
Acknowledging
constantly.
her half truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
That she's up to something in that scene.
Yeah.
And I think that's her planting that seed that we see, grow in this scene where she's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Norman, your shipment date set." And Ray is like, "I didn't know that."
Why didn't I know that?
Yeah.
There's also the question about who William Minerva is with the book and
Yes.
Morse code book stuff. So next week we're going to be discussing episode 9 through 12 of the Promised Neverland, the last episodes of the whole show. Crazy.
So I
um,
know I know you gave us your number one um uh what prediction regarding
sure.
like Ray potentially having to become
Yeah.
sacrificial lamb. What's your take on Emma's leg right now? Has that if they're planning to escape and they've been like practicing with tag, if Emma has a
And
snapped
we have a
leg
week
and there's
until
it's a
Norman
week,
ships out.
how is Emma supposed to get around that hurdle?
Um, Kelly said, walk it off. True. True. Just walk it off. It's a flesh wound. Um, hmm. I don't know. Haven't thought about that because that is a pretty fatal hero trait. You know what I mean? They have the literal Achilles heel here of her leg, and
Yeah.
she needs to run and she needs to get out.
They
Um,
all need to run. They're running away.
I
And mom
have a
said, "A
feeling
week
it's gonna.
before your plan to run away, I'm taking away your leg."
I have a feeling it's gonna be something that we're not gonna think of. That's gonna be super outlandish, to where
Do you think we're gonna have to suspend disbelief for it? Is that what you're getting
no,
at?
no, 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 no. I think it's gonna be super believable because
Okay.
that's what it's shown me here through this whole time. I think that they're gonna have to do something to mom. I think they're gonna have to think differently now. They're gonna have to change their entire plan. We can't run away. We can't do this. How do we get transportation out of here? We do something to get the other things to come here so that we can use their transportation out of here. We kill mom. We figure out how to get all the kids to kill Isabella, to get her tracking device to go off, to get demons or grandma, whoever to come over so that they can sneak out around them. I think that's something so outlandish that they might bring up because nobody was thinking that, which is so intense. So I think somehow they can't leave, they can't run, they can't beat anybody, but they can outsmart them maybe, and maybe get mom to send for something or send for, I don't know. I don't know. There's a bunch of kids. I think they can use their power of the population to overrun this person to
Okay.
figure it out. That's super out there, but I don't see any other way. I don't
Prediction?
see
Yeah.
another way. I
Mhm.
don't know how. So yeah, I haven't seen the show. I hope people are watching it with us. So, The Promised Neverland, episode 9 through 12 next week. Watch it during the week, and then we come back here and discuss it. If you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, thank you so much. Hit that like button or subscribe. Follow here on Twitch, because we are. Well, actually, I'm streaming on Twitter too, so that's kind of cool. But join the Discord. So we can talk about it during the week, and then next week we're going to pick a new anime. So shout out to Bubsy. We're going to add
Summertime rendering.
summertime rendering, and I do not want to say anything about the anime because it's so wild. um well, I've only read the manga, I haven't read the anime, but we have a bunch of different suggestions here from you. You can do that during the live show on Thursdays, Fridays. Uh, 500 bits gets you something added to there, and then we pick it out of the chest, and then we rate the anime at the end. So next week we're gonna put The Promised Neverland up here somewhere. We've seen
Woo-hoo.
some S tiers lately. All these anime we've already watched on the show, and we're gonna put The Promised Neverland somewhere up here. And yeah,
Oh
we're gonna
yeah, it'll
rate
be
it.
somewhere.
It'll be somewhere. We'll see. I mean, they got to follow through. Hey, I love it so far. They could completely shit on the ending. I don't know. We'll see.
This is a show that will, like, at least this first season, like, as I'm watching it up to this point, on initial viewing, it's definitely like, how are we right here with these characters in this situation when when this season's supposed to be resolved in 4 episodes? Like,
Yeah.
that's where I was at, where it's like, there's only 4 episodes left. Like, what's
Yeah.
going
There's
on?
still a
What's
lot to
gonna
do.
happen?
A lot of ends to be tied that
Exactly.
I don't know if we have time.
Yep.
But yeah, Matt, where can they find you when you're not talking about The Promised Neverland?
When we're not talking about all the animes, you can find me on my Twitch at Matt_Galley. You could also follow me on other socials at it's Matt_Galley. And when we're not here talking about the Promised Neverlands, where can the people find you?
Here on Twitch, playing Overwatch, probably some Diablo, twitch.tv/JulesTheHuman. On Twitter, JulesTheHuman. On the YouTube as well, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman, JULES, the human. On all social media, you can watch this show. If you missed any of it, you can watch this show on YouTube the day after it comes out on the live and on Spotify. So if you have Spotify, you can watch the video. You can see us on your Spotify app, which is pretty cool. And any other app that plays podcasts. But that's where you
All
can
the
watch this.
things.
All the things. Go follow. Go find us. Go follow us. And next week we'll be discussing episode 9 through 12, the end of The Promised Neverland, and picking a new anime.
New
So
anime.
we'll see you next time.